last spring, when it became apparent that we were going to need a new superintendent, my first thought was to understand how a focus group and how a search works. So I went to the 2016 one 7 years ago when we voted on a different person. And at that time, there were 10 different focus groups, and I added up how many different people were responded or participated, and there was 77. Just in the few days that we had to get community input here, we have 150 comments online. So I feel pretty confident that we're hearing from a lot of different people in the community. It's clear from public comments that many people did not feel like they were part of the district's conversation over the past several years. This is unfortunate since our business is all about the well-being of our children. Our staff are experts in their field and should be treated with respect. Rachel has demonstrated that she leads with respect. For example, shortly after she was appointed, she began weekly visits to our schools, not to evaluate, but to listen. I have gone with her several times during the school year with her weekly visits to the schools. She encourages volunteer reps from every school community to join together to reevaluate decisions that had been made in the past. When asked to come to a school presentation or teach a lesson or to meet with a parent group, she finds the time to do it. The public asked for changes to how our school board operates. Rachel encouraged and supported changes such as a later start time, 2 comment times, longer time to sign up to speak. All our meetings now, under Rachel's leadership, are recorded audio and visually and put online for all to review. Communication to families and staff were improved with Parent Square and a district calendar. Parents asked for technology changes this school year. Rachel followed through. Computers at K through 5th grade are kept at home. Kept at school, not at home. And a no cells during school for older kids is being enforced consistently, even if the kids don't like it. So listening and responding to requests, to me, is a sign of respect. Several comments were made in the survey about hiring a superintendent with experience in public education. Well, I'm impressed with her wide variety of experiences, as well as earning a superintendent's endorsement. After teaching for several years, she came to North Kitsap 13 years ago. She has been a building administrator, director of special ed, director of secondary education, director of technology, and an executive director of human resources. During the last 9 months, she has been a superintendent. We have seen her in action. She successfully navigated district challenges with immense compassion and knowledge. She has ended the school year on a positive note and worked throughout the summer to give the teaching staff a meaningful start to a new year. And she followed the lead of our independent community committee to explain and promote a successful levy campaign. In conclusion, I was surprised to learn from the Washington State School Directors Association, WASDA, that a search would cost between $50,000 and $100,000 and take 6 to 9 months to complete. We have evaluated her leadership skills. They align with WASDA's framework and with most of the stakeholders' feedback.
So I'd actually like to utilize my time to amplify some of the comments that we've received. These comments, they're from staff members, parents, community members, and the comments I'm going to talk about, they're not people providing their input on what qualities the superintendent have, they're what qualities Rachel Davenport has. So the common themes you'll see between these is transparency, collaboration, and honesty. Some of the comments were, and again, keeping in mind, these are things that they said that she has and she displays. Transparency, grace, compassion, and student-centered. She's out and about at each school. She's very quick at updating NKSD parents, supporting our Native community. Compassion and professionalism, communicated timely and clearly. Prompt communications and level of involvement. Bringing a positive outlook back to NK. Excellent leader, improved communication through many departments. Willing to listen and continue to build relationships to make continuous improvements here at NKSD. Remarkable leadership in challenging situations. She's a bridge builder, an open communicator, and consensus former. Integrity, trust, and a sense of cohesiveness. Cares about the kids. Humility, presence in our schools. Smart, savvy, compassionate, humble, honest. Transparent, supportive. She's approachable. Collaborating with staff, parents, and community. Leading with compassion for the students. Humble, intelligent, and kind. Solid administrator from assistant principal through the ranks of district admin. She truly cares and understands the importance of our government-to-government relationships. Professionalism and dedication, understanding of the community's needs, inspired a sense of trust, community, and collaboration. A lot of the comments went on to talk about their overwhelming feelings that Rachel should continue in the role of superintendent. Some of those comments were, please keep Rachel Davenport. Rachel Davenport has my highest confidence. Push forward with Rachel. Exceptional job during this interim period, and I'm thrilled at the prospect she could step into this role permanently. Current leader is doing a good job. Right decision. Very much like to see her continue in her role. Would be an excellent superintendent of NKSD. Is an exceptional choice and that we need to look no further. The board should not do a costly search for someone else, as Rachel, in my opinion, has led our district with compassion, transparency, and integrity. Rachel already shines as our leader, no need to search anymore. Gladly support her becoming our permanent superintendent. Headed in the right direction under Rachel, and we'll have a bright future with her as our superintendent. Rachel is a great choice. I like the idea of continuing with Rachel as superintendent. I could go on, there's many other ones. So really I'd like to close with just reading a little bit of the feedback that we've received from the community. One of the comments was, I've had firsthand opportunity to see Rachel Davenport in action. She exemplifies the attributes that are needed in our superintendent position. Like I mentioned, she's a bridge builder, an open communicator, and consensus former. All parties in the school district, students, parents, educators, staff, and leaders see Rachel as a solid performer. Please retain her and elevate her into permanent positions as superintendent. Another comment was, leadership that combines empathy and forward-looking vision is rare in education. Ms. Davenport has demonstrated remarkable leadership in challenging situations. I definitely echo that. And remains a strong advocate for students, families, and staff. She is undoubtedly the future of NKSD. And I'll read one more. Please retain Rachel. You are correct that you do not need to do an expensive nationwide search. Rachel has been the leader North has needed for many years. She is willing to accept the permanent position. Please do so. And I lied, I'll share one more. Rachel has been the best superintendent in all the 22 years I've been in the district. Please keep her as the head of NKSD schools. I personally have gotten to work with Rachel since I've been on the board, which is coming up on 5 years. I've got to, in addition to the interim superintendent role, I've got to observe her as the assistant superintendent, and on many occasions the acting superintendent. I think it's very rare for a school district to be able to get that length of evaluating somebody before putting them in the position. We've had that. We've had a couple years where we've seen her in this role, and I feel confident that not only will she do a good job, but she will excel. And I feel very strongly that this is the right decision, and I'm supportive and hoping that she chooses to move forward with this. Thank you. Any other discussions? If there's no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 An aye. All opposed to the motion? There's no opposed. The motion passes with a vote of 4 and 0 against. Thank you. The next item is resolution 110124, levy recertification. A motion is needed to, discuss resolution 110124, levy recertification. Do I have a motion?
I so moved.
Okay, thank you, Bev.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brianne. Motion is to discuss resolution 110124, levy recertification. The motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion?
Well, I'll just take a moment, because I think you all did it during the board comments,
Yeah.
to thank the, Facilities Advisory Committee, to thank the community, to our staff, to the parents, for supporting this, important levy. And it was a huge lift, and I mean, countless hours that were boots on the ground, and that we couldn't have done it without, the village. So thank you to each and every one of you who made it possible, because it was essential, and I'm just thankful for the support. That's all.
Again, I'd like to echo those comments, because I think of the countless hours that were spent by these volunteers, to really get down into the weeds on what this district was all about and what it means and how to prioritize. And in that, I think they should receive the greatest thanks that this district has to offer. And also the people that we represent, the parents, the students, taxpayers, they have served us well.
Okay, thank you. If there is no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed to the motion? The motion passes with a vote of 4 and 0 against. The next item is mentor reports. The mentor reports will be turned over to Rachel Davenport and staff to answer any questions the board has regarding the materials provided.
I'll invite Mike Merlino up if you do have questions. The first report is September's budget status report. It's our typical report, monthly report, every month here for 11.1. Welcome any questions.
I don't have a September report. I think most of it's covered in your report.
I just want to thank Mike for doing a
Yeah.
nice job of consolidating and summary
Mhm.
for us, because the hundreds of pages that he has gone through to help us understand is very helpful.
And then the next one is the end of the year status report. So if there are questions for that one's a little bit more in depth and wraps out, this past fiscal year.
Yeah, I did have a couple, yeah, we're talking about the end of year, so
Mhm.
I did have a couple questions. Actually, I'll probably just start with comments first. So, one, thank you, Mike, for preparing this report. This is quite impressive, quite extensive. So thank you for that. I would say that, in the general summary, I think it was good to see that the general fund balance increase. We will continue to talk about why that's important to do that. There's uncertainty that we know is gonna happen, so appreciate your guidance for that. I do agree with kind of, in the long-term considerations, aging facilities pose a threat to the district's general fund. I do wholeheartedly agree with that. So I think that's something we will continue to look at for that. And I know you as the board know, but just for the community's benefit, the ending of deficit spending, that's not easy. And there continues to be school districts that are in significant financial trouble because they didn't have the forward looking that our district did. Additionally with your help to kind of try to see that cliff that was gonna happen. So look forward to continuing to to manage that.
Yeah, when I showed up, I know that the district had already started down a path of making some adjustments to try to prepare for what you're 100% right, what you're seeing happening in a lot of school districts across the state. Did I push a button here? Am I good? What you're seeing happen in a lot of districts across the state, the things I kind of referred to, the ESSER money going away, enrollment decline, inflation, all of these things coming at the same time. So the fact that we had, a little bit of a surplus last year and added to the fund balance, tremendous, a really good thing, and we need to make sure that we maintain that as we move forward.
Just for questions, just a couple things kind of jumped out. In the transportation vehicle fund, do you, and you might not know, do you see a need coming for vehicle repairs? I noticed that kind of it looked like, at least what I could tell, the amount spent on vehicle repairs, I think, was a little bit down this year.
So, last February, I think it was, so the transportation vehicle fund is for us to replace buses, buy buses. The normal repair comes out of the general fund. If there's a major repair or purchase of buses, that's where that money is. I would say that, we have 5 buses that are supposed to show up this month in November. So it's something that annually we should probably be replacing 3 to 4 or thereabouts buses. I talked with Ryan about this the other day. We do have 5 showing up here soon, but we've got something like 40 to 45 routes. We've got almost 70 buses. So every time we buy buses, we're retiring some of the older buses. So we're just trying to keep our fleet as current as we possibly can. And you can see in the TVF, we've got about 3.6 million. The way that's operated is you buy the bus, they send us depreciation money over either an 8-year period or a 13-year period, depending if it's a special needs bus or it's a regular ed bus, and then you have the money to replace that bus. So the idea is to have as many buses with dollars following them to replace them whenever they fall off the schedule. So I think we're actually in pretty good shape with the TVF. I don't think we need to continually stay on top of that so that we don't have problems. So I think we're in a pretty good spot there, actually.
Okay, great, yeah, that was kind of was okay. And then, sorry, I had one other question, but the board members might ask any about it.
Well, Mike, I'm just kind of wondering, as we move forward, I noticed that one of the big concerns at the state level is that the state doesn't fund districts like ours that requires a lot of buses because we have a lot of waterways we have to drive around. Is there a way that if we needed that information about how much we spend different than a area like, say, downtown Seattle, is that something that we can get some numbers on?
I mean, if we want to compare ourselves to another district similar size, districts are much different geographically. They are also much different in terms of the policies they set up. Who's going to pick up what families, what students are we going to pick up? So it really probably would be something there. If there were specific questions, we could kind of research an issue and look into it. I think I feel pretty comfortable that we're in pretty good shape. Having that healthy of a reserve in the TVET, the problem really isn't that we don't have the money to buy buses. The problem is when you buy a bus, it takes so long to get the bus. So that's why you gotta get ahead of the whole process. I mean, I think it was last February that we have a bus from a couple years ago that was totaled, that we haven't even had that show up to replace it yet. So, that's probably our biggest issue. We've got a new director also, Ryan Solchenberger, who's honestly done an amazing job at really focusing on getting our students to school before the bell, getting them home, time to communicate with parents proactively. I think that the whole transportation department has had a major increase in terms of, we had a lot of buses canceled, routes canceled last spring, if you remember. I was talking with Ryan here yesterday. We're gonna have information out to parents, I think, in the next few weeks about our snow routes, and actually have snow routes that parents know where to take their kids if we have certain issues with the weather. So the TVF is pretty good shape. The program, I think, is in great shape actually right now, but we can do any kind of research that you might be interested in us doing.
That issue, I think what you're referring to around transportation funding, that has come up in the past, through WASA as a legislative, priority. You know, for anybody that doesn't know, example, you know, like Liberty Bay, it's calculated straight line distance for buses still.
Right.
Correct.
So there's a funding variation there, so I think it's just making sure that we continue to monitor the WASA legislative priorities and, you know, we do anything we can to push that.
Correct, yes, and it was listed as one of the priorities.
I think the differential, the important piece of the data for that's gonna be the differential for what we get from the state for transportation calculation versus what we spend.
Okay, so does the money they send us from the state, is that an average for everybody?
It's calculated by, it's a formula of average ridership, and it's calculated as a bird flies versus,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
and our topography just, it doesn't lend itself to like a Seattle, you were saying, or Bremerton, a city. It's a lot easier and shorter route, so Poulsbo's a much easier route to get around, than if you get outside to the county areas of our district, it's much more difficult, to move around.
The
I
state,
think we'd be a good example.
yeah, we are.
We
We're
are
a larger
right
geographic,
there.
we're a larger
Yes.
geographic district,
Yeah.
and the state doesn't fully fund
And
transportation.
that's what the legislators need to see, is the
Yeah.
numbers and why we're
Absolutely.
unique.
So Mike and I are working on that, not just for, transportation, but for all of our budgets for our priorities. I know the WASA cohort, superintendent cohort is working with, WEA, the largest, you know, the teachers union in the state, along with, WASDA, so that we have a combined, list of legislative priorities and asks. You know, when you drill down into the data, the rationale and what we all need, it's the same thing. And so if we're all working together and coming to the state, to the legislator with, hey, here's what, a collaborative, you know, an agreement, these are our priorities, what can we do? So,
Mike, could I ask you, I know that a lot of districts are wrestling with the COVID money bubble. Where are we at on that process?
So the district I think the district kind of proactively spent the money up front in ESSER funds, and the whole idea was that they would kind of build a little bit of a reserve, spend the money in the early days, and then deficit spend for a couple years and get back to break even. So I think we maybe had $5,000 or something very minimal that we spent last year. 22-23 was the last year that there was a lot of money spent out of COVID. So we're on the other side of that, where you still see some districts saying, we now have to go through cuts because the COVID money's gone. The COVID money's in North Kitsap's been gone for a couple years.
Okay.
And so that is not an issue for us, at all at this point. So that's, honestly, that's a huge, positive for what North Kitsap did in terms of trying to get ahead of that. And Jason, when he was here, was a big part of that also.
Excellent.
I don't have any, I just thank you for this, Mike.
Sure.
For this, it's a really great report, and to just see the end of year summary, I think is really helpful. And I know the board, we see this a lot, and we're very familiar, but kind of the things that were pointed out and talked about, I think it's good too for the board to hear.
Yeah, thank
Like when we
you.
talk about deficit spending, and that is not sustainable, and it's not, you know, it's not.
And I think it's important for people to remember that there's a 5 to 7% reserve that the board has in policy that we're always trying to make sure that we're hitting. Well, we make sure that we hit that number also, so that's another good thing. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one would be our in-district, sorry, our last report is the, out-of-district, inter-district transfer report. Is there any questions on this report?
I did not, no.
Well, okay, so we have a lot of kids, 242, that are in our physical district that are going to Central. And 161 going to Bay Bridge. And my understanding is they live here, but for some reason, whether it's parents' need or transportation, or is any of that geographically connected to where Pearson is, right on the border?
No, I would say that, I mean, some probably could, there are some neighborhoods that, probably are closer to like Emerald Heights that, are actually Pearson kids, where you can walk out of Emerald Heights and, out of your, neighborhood and be at Emerald Heights, which is the Central Kitsap School. Pearson is a little bit different. Pearson, is one of the options for our students that are on the naval base, Bangor. The attraction for, the other Central Kitsap school that Bangor serves is there is a guard at a fence, and they walk through a hole in the fence, and they walk onto Clear Creek's campus. And so parents have the choice to, you can choose to go to Pearson or, our school district here, or you can choose to go to Clear Creek, which is really
Right there.
just separated by a fence, walk across and then you're there. And so, students that live there is a choice.
Okay, is there any account for homeschoolers or people that are choosing to privately, go to private school?
There is, and that's on, so, I believe that's on one of the slides where it talks about transfer out. And it's very similar, it's the similar conditions to why, students would transfer in as well. And so we look at our students that are transferring out, and knowing that for those same reasons that students are transferring out, we also have 119, students that are transferring into, North Kitsap.
Rachel, are the PAL students included in the student census?
Yes,
Okay.
And Running Start are included
in our overall, so.
in 11th and 12th grades?
As transfer out?
Are they considered transfer out students?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, I just had one other question about transferring to, because we have some schools that are closed, but I see that 17% could transfer to Paulsbo Middle School, but it said that Paulsbo was closed.
So if you look at, students that were either in the feeder pattern or already existing students there, those would be some of those students. And then, obviously, there's certain policies and laws around if there is a harassment, intimidation, or bullying, that we can allow transfers for that under the exception cases.
Okay. Well, I just noticed that the highest transfer rate is 11th and 12th graders, and I was just guessing, is it because they can drive? Is it because of Running Start? Is it because
Yeah, it
of
wouldn't-
electives?
It
that
wouldn't
they
be
want?
Running Start, so, our high schools have an open policy, an open transfer, so students that can transport themselves to either high school can choose to go to either high school. Obviously, under, board policy and, district procedure, there are, restricting factors, like behavior, attendance, grades, those sort of things can be restricting, for a denial of a student to transfer, to their non-home school.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, well, that, ends the management reports, and that ends the meeting. The time is 8:12 PM, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.